last year, right? Where it's like they fell out, you know, you'd be 5th, 6th, and that would be a massive disappointment for this team that rebuilt, retooled, got QUID, who was kind of the hottest offseason prospect, to just have the same results as this disappointing finish in summer would be crazy. So yeah, the analysts are still feeling pretty confident in Team Liquid, but I don't think they've shown us enough on stage yet to really kind of earn that confidence. So they have to be able to show us here today how well they can play against the DSG, who has been very competitive. They went 5 games against Sentinels. They've been good throughout the lock-in tournament. And now it's time to see if TL can really step up and become the team that we kind of all expected them to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a really, really nice pickup coming out of first pick for DSG, taking away the Ryze from QUID. I feel like when TL have been using QUID's playmaking or kind of going for set plays, a lot of it has been when he's on this Ryze pick. They seem to have had a lot more success in terms of moving around the map. With Ryze, he gives you such easy access to side lanes. So really nice pickup coming out of DSG rather.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, it's also going to be comfort for Callme, and I think Callme had some pretty rough games against the Sentinels. A number of the DSG players did, to be frank, have games that were kind of below their expected standard. Lyonz had a really shocking series. Kryra had some moments that really did not go well. So I think there is also this question for DSG. It's like, can you shake that off? Can you kind of, you know, have that goldfish memory, forget about the last series, just go back to playing how you had been playing prior to that series? Because there were definitely some tough moments in it for a number of these players. But I will say Castle was a big standout. He was playing really, really well. I think Sajed has been fantastic, and they're going to lock in the Nami Corki, a really powerful bot lane duo here for Sajed and Lyonz. So we'll see how they can perform on that.
Yeah, and as we see on the TL side, them locking in Yunara and Neeko, another really strong bot 2v2 coming out here for TL. And I think TL bot lane has been the focus, not just of the team, but of other teams, right? We saw even in that best of 1 against Dignitas, they split the map. They made it a really huge point of pressure to try to attack that TL bot lane. As we see the Ambessa coming in, most likely going to Morgan, but could also be going to Josedeodo.
Yeah, there's always that possibility of it being a flex. Castle's most played by a lot is the Renekton's. They're going to ban that away, which does also lead me to believe that it's going to be Ambessa top. Exactly. You know, trying to deny some of these more difficult matchups here. But DSG, obviously, going to be pretty happy. You know, not only did they get first pick, but they got full counter pick of what we're expecting the bot lane to be. You know, yeah, QUID could potentially take the Neeko, but we're expecting that's the full bot lane. So they had the answer there. They have the priority mid pick. And still respect, though, from DSG that it could actually be a jungle Ambessa because they're banning out the Gwen.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of covering all of your bases also could be something to set up for potentially whatever Castle wants to pick. Did that say my boss quit today? So I came to LCS. Sorry, I got distracted. As the Jace ban coming out against DSG as well by TL.
Yeah, Castle is one of these guys that is very flexible. Obviously, the Nasus pick got a lot of attention, but he loves some of these kind of like solo queue answers and various picks. So he's more difficult, I think, to predict, which I do think is why we're having some more of these top lane protection bans coming out there. Anivia going to be taken away, has become kind of the de facto answer to Ryze these days in competitive. It has really risen in popularity around the world. Had been more Cassio that people had been looking towards, but I feel like people just got so used to that matchup and were able to pretty easily respond to it just with phase rushing out of the Cassio W, whereas Anivia is really difficult to deal with.
As you see, as if they're listening, the Cassio hover, but it will be the Taliyah locked in for QUID going up against that Ryze. And we'll see what DSG want to respond to it on the other side.
And this could be the first Taliyah for QUID so far this year. Of course, they haven't played that many games, so not a big deal, and is one of his most played all time.
I was going to say, when I used to think of QUID and River working together on 100 Thieves, they ran the Taliyah in both positions, actually. But they also ran that Taliyah Vi so much. So we know how powerful QUID can be on this pick. As we see the meatball machine, as Clayton was calling him last week, the Sion locked in as that frontliner for DSG. Yes, exactly. That's what it was.
All right, so we'll get the Sion, we'll get the Wukong right next to it there in the jungle. So there's your front line on the side of DSG. Meanwhile, for Team Liquid, the last pick coming through here. What is it going to be to round out this roster? Let's see.
Up and Trundle is going to be locked in as that final pick for Jose. Really interesting pickup, not something we've seen him play yet thus far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trundle is extremely strong. Anytime a Sion is in the game, you just get a ridiculous amount of value from this pick because you are leeching resistances, you are taking a percentage of their health and just chunking them instantly with that.
Yeah.
And it can kind of turn Trundle, you know, into a super tank himself, right? Like you can become very difficult to knock down. So I love it. The pillar also has great interactions, you know, with the Sion ulti. You can block out that Sion ultimate, no problem with that. I do think it's a really, really powerful pick for a lot of different reasons. I also love Trundle into squishy champions like Nami without a dash. You just throw down the pillar behind them. That can make it incredibly difficult, easy to set up for seismic shoves, for public executions, for these types of skill shots to come through.
And talking about the Sion as just being this premier tank, Trundle being able to shut that down, being able to create the opportunity to punch through that brick wall on the front line, I think is so important. I especially think it's really important when you're having to deal with the Wukong also right next to him, who's going to be jumping in, trying to create a lot of disruption himself. So excited to see what we get here in this first one as we're loading onto the Rift for the first time in this best of 5. Remember, this is for the life of both teams. If you lose here, you are eliminated. We will not see you again until spring. Do or die, leave it all on the stage.
Stakes are high for both of these squads, and Yeon unfortunately had to pause immediately when we got into game. So hopefully, hopefully it will be a quick pause and we can get things sorted out here quickly. We'll let you know as soon as we do find out any details on that pause. But yeah, both teams, their life on the line here in the lock-in tournament. Of course, you know, have some work to do if they want to make it all the way to the first stand. Core told me that was his goal, and he's like, yeah, we've lost more games than we were hoping. We started in the lower bracket, but we're not out yet. We can still make the first stand. That's our goal. So the path at which they take is less important. Looks like we are on pause, so things should be good, and we should be able to get this one underway. Going to be an exciting one here. Yeon on that Yunara, something that I think he can really excel on. And something that he's going to have to excel on to be able to punch through the front line.
Yeah, when we were talking about this pick first coming out, he was actually the first to win on it, I think, of any major region competitor, just because of it had lost in every other region. So we kind of dubbed it the Yunara when he first started playing it last year.
All right, runes showing up on your screen right here. Everything seems pretty stock standard, not super surprised at pretty much any of this. CoreJJ and Yeon, the double Yunaras down here in the bottom lane. We'll see how much control they can get early. We know that Yunara is a very, very scary champion level 1. If she's allowed to stack up the Q, can force pretty much anybody else back. But Sajed and Lyonz should just be fine.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that we should be looking at again for TL is this bot lane, because I feel like they were such a stellar point for TL last year. We talked about how Yeon was the best ADC in the entire LTA at the time, and in the 2v2 meta, I was really, really expecting TL to kind of have a stranglehold on a lot of these 2v2 matchups. And I feel like they've slightly underperformed compared to my expectations, but I also do feel like a lot of teams have been targeting them, as we see them already getting the flash out of Sajed.
Yeah, Sajed kind of just overstaying there. TL got 2 first, and Sajed clearly wanted to try to fight for it a little bit more. Ends up losing his flash right off the back of that, so that already is a nice advantage. Especially, you know, as we said, Trundle can take advantage if you're missing that flash, if you're overextended. Sure, you have Valk, but he just really has to hold the pillar until you Valkyrie, and then you're pretty cooked.
And both junglers are on the bottom half of the map now, so Josedeodo, with the control over bottom lane that his bot duo has, should be able to have control over that crab very easily as well, you would have to think. Or maybe if there's the opportunity to punish that flash like we're talking about, there's even more playmaking there.
Yeah, as we see them all the way pushed up to turret, doing a really, really good job of completely taking over the push on this bot side, and really, really nice looking for this TL bot lane thus far.
Castle's having a great time up here in the top side, getting that one shoved in on the Sion. Has a lead of a few minions, but really nothing crazy in any one lane here just yet. Josedeodo is going to make his way towards that bottom side crab, exactly as I was expecting. And you can see the pathing from Kryra just heading towards the top side river, knowing there's not really a way to contest down here for this bottom one.
This isn't a C9 game. We're not going to see the first crab battle.
I mean, especially when you have full push from TL's side, there's just not really any way for Kryra to contest that. And you have that strong side on top right now as Castle has been laning well. I talked about it a little bit during Champ Select, but I think he has been fantastic for the team. Really was a good performer in their 5-game series. Got a lot of attention for the Nasus, but was great, I think, pretty much across the board in that series and is going to have to also show up here today. Morgan was a guy who received so much hype, I think, coming into the season. A lot of players were even telling me they thought Morgan might actually be the best player on their team, even though he hadn't really been getting talked about a lot, whereas everyone really was focusing more on QUID and Yeon and this sort of thing. So it's going to be a pretty heavy expectation on Morgan. And we haven't really seen that player show up that I've been hearing about from scrims yet on stage.
All right, you can see mid laners right now, QUID going back, making that first purchase, just buying a lot more mana for the inventory, is just now level 5. So once we get to level 6, I want to see Team Liquid also succeed in utilizing these Weaver's Walls, set up plays. We're talking about Yeon on the Yunara needing to stand up and be that big performer, and I think QUID being able to facilitate that with his Taliyah is going to be very important. We're talking about the guy who was seen as like the big piece during the offseason that so many teams were trying to fight for, and it hasn't looked as good as I think pretty much anybody was hoping so far.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I think he's had some really good moments, but as they covered on the lounge, before the day, the reality is he's had some really bad moments too that have cost him pretty heavily, and that is kind of the weird thing about TLs. You watch them individually, they all look really good. For the vast majority of the game, the team play is good, they're creating big advantages, and then the wheels just fall off, right? And they're kind of having these moments where you're like, all right, you're clearly on different pages. Josedeodo, after one of their games, he was getting interviewed, and he was on the lounge and just talking about the fact that he felt like they were not going for plays that he would expect them to in scrims.
Ooh, nice. They get the flash out of Callme because Josedeodo shows up after the phase rush had already procced. Callme had already got that burst of speed, and so didn't have it to try to get away from the pillar. That meant that Jose could close the distance, and as soon as the threat of the chomp for the further slow is there, the flash is forced. Nice quick move there from Jose.
Yeah, really nice, and kind of a early, easy demonstration of what this Trundle can do, playing off of his lanes and kind of playing around this push that QUID's Taliyah has already been able to create. And we'll see, because as you were pointing out, Isaac, already, it hasn't been a lot of like individual mistakes as much as it's been, okay, what is the team play looking like? What are these especially like in mid-game skirmishes, what is that kind of looking like? And that's where I really do want to see QUID making plays with this Taliyah, easy access to side lanes, right? Like kind of moving around the map like...
Oh, hold on now, there's your Weaver's Wall. Also Realm Warp gonna bring DSG to the mix here too. Team Liquid backing away, trying to secure control over the crab. Sajed off to the side, wants to get a little bit of damage here. Some burst out into Josedeodo, but he drops the subjugate to keep himself alive for now. Both junglers going to be taken out of the equation. And now a flash over the wall from the Nami as Team Liquid look for even more. Callme, remember, no flash available on the Ryze from the earlier play. CoreJJ goes in for the flash route, and there's the extra kill. 2-1, TL.
Nicely played there by Core at the end to grab that extra kill, but honestly, not that bad for DSG considering they didn't get the crab. So Jose had 6. Generally, that means the fight is going to be a disaster, but Sajed had some really nice positioning, kind of wrapped around the backside, was getting a ton of damage down, and that's what prompted Kryra to fly in, getting Sajed that first blood. Kryra had been kind of just harassing Jose in the brush here.
Yeah, as we see the crab fight begin, I really like how both mid laners actually end up trying to go. Only the clone gets trapped by that pillar, so then we see Sajed kind of wrapping around on the Corki, and he's able to get so much damage in along with the Nami bubble to kind of stun up Jose. And then this is just a really nice play off the back, recognizing Callme does not have flash. CoreJJ immediately goes in, lands the root, and that kill goes over to QUID.
Yeah, well played. You can see good CC chain as well, though, from the DSG side to be able to take down the Trundle. It's Room Prison and the Nami bubble. Sajed is behind him. I thought they played that quite well. It definitely could have gone a lot worse given the scenario, but at the end of the day, Yeon and QUID both get a kill. Sajed, though, showing off that level 6, the power of the Nami and the Corki.
Yeah.
Extremely high burst. And then you look at his inventory, you're like, well, surely he has some big damage. He's got a Ruby Crystal in his ear and some boots.
It's like...
Gotta watch out for that. I also want to talk a little bit about Lyonz, right? Because I thought he had his absolute worst series he's had in their series against Sentinels, as we see potential scuffle over this. Red buff?
Big invade coming out from DSG here as they want to fight Jose for the Team Liquid red buff, and it looks like Team Liquid is just going to decide, okay, we don't want to fight for this. It's too big of a risk. DSG brought a whole lot of bodies here, and they're going to get the red buff for it. Morgan goes for the public execution there onto Castle, finds some quick snappy trades, but honestly not a whole ton of damage.
Yeah, and I like how they played immediately, DSG rather, how they played immediately off of that bot side pressure, right? They recognized, okay, we can go in for this invade. Some of DSG's invades have been, let's just say, highly optimistic in some of their previous series. But I like that one because of how much damage Sajed was able to get down in that bot lane, and then recognizing that they could go in immediately for that. I'll go back to what I was saying about Lyonz really quickly, in that we're looking for kind of a redemption series from him, and that early skirmish is already a really nice sign with the Nami bubble doing a lot of work there.
Right there, you can see Team Liquid looking to see if maybe they could catch the fish out of water.
I'm such a curse. It's very unlucky.
Well, he does survive, so curse averted for now. But it's pretty hard to go deathless on Nami, so maybe it's just lingering. It'll come back to get him later.
Well, let's see as we continue to have junglers maintaining their presence in this bottom side of the map. Kryra's going to go ahead and start up that first Drake. Not a particularly fast first Drake in this first game. 9.5 minutes on the clock. Callme is going to walk over and assist Kryra with a little bit more damage. Lyonz and Sajed also, considering they have the push in the bottom lane, this should be an easy objective secure for DSG.
Yeah, going to be able to grab that no problem. And one of the things I talked to Ido about before the year started was, he's like, hey, we have all these players who don't have a tremendous amount of experience. Actually going into the series last week, 4 out of the 5 of their players had never played a playoff game.
Okay, we've got ourselves a Realm Warp, and they want to make the 4v2 dive as the wave is about to crash into the Tier 1 turret. There's your target. Pop Blossom from CoreJJ tries to defend, but there's just too many enemies. Disguise brought everybody they needed. They get both kills, and they get everybody out.
And I love that from DSG. We were talking about how we wanted to see QUID make some plays in the sideline. Great use of the Realm Warp coming out of Callme, who, again, we were talking about him potentially having a redemption series, right? Teleporting both him and Kryra just as the wave comes up. And even though Core does get that Pop Blossom on the back half of that, it's kind of already over. I love how they sync that up with as the wave was crashing into turret, right? Really, really nicely done out of Disguise.
Josedeodo just going to go ahead and pick up the Void Grubs. Unfortunately, not nearly the fun objective that it was to take in the previous season. Not nearly as powerful as it used to be, but still going to set them up. Maybe they can get some dividends from this if Morgan's able to maintain side lane control, or QUID can make some moves with the Weaver's Wall.
So this is the preseason power rankings to the end of Swiss standings. So we can see, TL was the kind of de facto first place team. Is Sajed's gonna flash in?
Yeah, Yeon is taking a whole lot of damage here, and now more follow-up onto CoreJJ, who's got to try to get away. He's already used the clone. The rocket forces the flash there too, as Team Liquid's bottom lane duo is continuing to feel the pressure from Sajed and Lyonz.
Yeah, what a great showing thus far from this disguised bot lane, really recognizing when they can apply pressure, and now they have complete control over this bot side, and Sajed is up almost 1K over his lane opponent in Yeon.
Yeah, he's doing great. Did cost him his flash, but we'll see if that gets punished or not. He's now also done the Triforce, so on a pretty big spike here, but To touch again on those power rankings, the preseason power rankings had TL in first. That was our aggregated power rankings in the LCS, and DSG was aggregate last, right? So DSG ended up way overperforming, I think, people's expectations, especially because, talking to Ido, the whole team was supposed to be basically built around Kryra, who they didn't have at the start. They were playing with Kisno, who they had played 3 total scrims with, 3 games. That's the totality of his experience in LCS scrims, and they did great. So DSG just kind of has been this Cinderella story, and the question is, you know, has the clock struck 10? Like, is it over, or will you have that kind of continuation?
Okay, Lyonz takes a quick bit of burst down here, but Josedeodo can't really find any opportunities to make any big plays. And now, with Jose being in the bot lane, Kryra's going to take the opportunity, invade the Team Liquid jungle, steal away the blue buff.
Yeah, nice recognition of Kryra that he can steal some jungle camps on this top side. But I love what you're saying about Disguised, Azael, just because like they were scrimming with Kryra on a higher ping for most of it, and they still managed to take a series with Kisno up.
Ooh, nice seismic shove there from QUID. Going to force Callme down way lower on the health bar than he expected to be. Just catches him right there at the very edge of the turret range.
Yeah, I think Callme just really wanted to stop that base and, you know, got a bit greedy for it. Was hoping he could step in, maybe make him cancel the base, avoid the seismic shove. But at the end of the day, doesn't matter too much.
That last part tripped him up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. The best of intentions. The worst of execution. My League of Legends story.
No! Wait, that title actually goes pretty hard, not gonna lie.
Both junglers up here in the top side of the map now. Josedeodo seeing if there's anything he can find, as Kryra is still ahead in the jungle. First items fully complete for both of these guys. Sundered Sky versus the Trinity Force. Wukong, so much burst once that Triforce is completed. This guy is very, very scary, and Team Liquid is going to have to give him plenty of respect, considering Disguised is up 1,500 gold as a team, and the biggest leads are in the jungle and AD carry positions.
Yeah, and the 2 Triforces, hand in hand, they should be in a really good spot for any skirmishes that happen. And I just love how, honestly, Disguised have been playing with this bot lane thus far. Like, now they're moving them over towards that top side, try to get some damage there. Up.
Ooh, public execution. Callme's in a lot of danger. Morgan goes after him, though, but the Realm Warp defensively keeps the mid laner for DSG alive.
Yeah, going to be able to stay alive there. And honestly, a little bit surprised to see Sundered Sky as the first item coming through here for the Trundle. In pro play, I sanity checked myself, but 96% of the time, that is the item purchased. So, you know, we'll see if he is going to go into like a later Triforce or something a bit more weird, but obviously Sundered Sky does have some sustain on it. Like, that's the main kind of advantage, is that if you are able to get autos out on a bunch of different people, you have some more healing. But Trundle just works so well with Triforce. Like, it's just so ingrained in the kit because the attack speed is really useful. Move speed core, swing and a miss, tries to get a bit tricky.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. Triforce just feels like it's such a good Trundle item, so we'll see how much value Jose is able to get out of this Sundered Sky. Top lane Scuttle Crab secured here by Team Liquid. They have control over the area. They're still looking over at Callme. They know the Ryze no longer has the Realm Warp to try to maneuver out of a bad position that he might find himself in. Sajed just has to be a little respectful here of QUID on the Taliyah. He does have the Seraph's Embrace fully completed, fully stacked, and evolved, as now Josedeodo has the opportunity to just take down this Rift Herald all on his lonesome. Lyonz gonna make his way towards the top lane, tier 1, reinforce Callme there, make sure there's no danger, but Team Liquid just gonna turn their attention back over to the Herald. Where do we want to see them use this?
I mean, I would have said to try to set up for Drake, but that's not gonna happen. Is they're trying to make a play on the Callme on this top side, but that's not really gonna go anywhere. I mean, I still like the default is to always use it mid, right? Just because mid turret is the most important, like, early tier 1 turret. I think that's pretty inarguable, and my like ideal setup is always right before Drake if you time it, right? And then you get mid prio, you move in, you immediately continue Drake stacking. But we did see the, you know, trade of objectives with DSG being able to get that Drake already, and then TL picking up the Herald. But that's still always just default to mid, because I just think it opens up the map so much for you. And we talk about this, again, Taliyah, easy access to side lanes. You want to be roaming around. You want to be able to apply map pressure wherever you are. Taking down the mid tier 1 always helps with that.
It has been a bit of a slow burn game, but I mean, DSG has a slight gold advantage. They have.
Sajed's in a lot of trouble, though. The Arc of Ruin lines it up, and they knock it down. Kill credit goes over to Yeon as well, with a nice seismic shove into Kryra right after. They're looking for more, but they don't have enough damage to kill the Wukong here, too. Team Liquid getting Yeon paid, catching back up, now overtaking Sajed in terms of individual gold, and they'll be able to summon the Rift Herald up mid, and Kryra's about to drop to Josedeodo. The Sundered Sky is plenty enough. Trinity Force not required, and there goes the enemy jungler as well. This has been such a massive swing for TL.
I mean, it's huge. They just went from down 800 gold to up 2.3K in the blink of an eye. And it feels like kind of just some unforced errors almost. I mean, Sajed had no Valk, right? Because he used it aggressively, but he did have his flash, didn't use it. Then Kryra tries to clone over the wall, clones into the wall, doesn't use his flash either. He dies too. And it does feel like they just kind of gave some freebies over to TL.
And that was your two most fed guys. Those were the guys that we were praising earlier as those big individual gold leads, nearly 1,000 gold ahead each. And then, yeah, the aggressive Valks, you love to see them when they result in those big bursty trades in lane, when the Corki is able to have that priority, that control. But then he gets a little too aggressive. He gets a little overconfident. And Team Liquid are fast to punish. Now Sajed in danger once again. Flash, pop, blossom from CoreJJ. Not going to find a target. Beautiful bubble follow-up coming in from Lyonz. But now DSG, where are they going to go from here? Josedeodo has to flash away. Castle and Morgan both going to arrive. Meanwhile, the bottom lane turret falls with the tier 1. Team Liquid is just going to lose core on that one.
Yeah, they do lose core, and it is kind of a trade of flashes at the end of the day, because Jose flashed, core flashed. They got both the flashes off the bottom lane there from DSG, but as you called out, great bubble from Lyonz to be able to set that up as core was trying to get out to safety after the failed engage.
Yeah, it's nice to see, again, a little bit more redemption from Lyonz coming out here. They land the pillar onto Sajed. Sajed is able to get away, but then really, really nice. It looks like a double bubble because of the Neeko clone.
It counts.
Yeah, Jose having to flash out of the back half of that one. But it's really nice to see Lyonz having a little bit of a redemption game, because I actually agreed with something you said on the dive, Azael, with him actually
Happens
performing.
from time to time.
It does, occasionally. Occasionally we agree on
I say a lot of stuff.
But I actually thought up until last week, he'd been performing pretty well. Like, he'd been really, really solid, especially in team fights. And he had a really, really, really rough series. So it's nice to see a little bit of a redemption game coming out of him thus far.
I mean, I think, you know, not even just this year, I think it's his worst series in NA, period, like that he's ever had. And it was definitely a bit of a shock because he had been performing really well for the team. Had looked like he was on point. Sajed pretty far up.
Yeah, the Corki's in trouble again. The damage flows through, but there's not quite enough to kill him through the barrier here just yet. Sajed staying alive for now, still fighting, but does finally fall. Traded for Josedeodo. Kryra gets over the wall there with his clone, has to use that Cyclone as well. Morgan's going to grab the tier 1 turret up there in the top lane at the same time. And Team Liquid continues to play aggressively around this fed Yunara. Yeon, 3, 1, and 2, has 2 fully completed items, working on the 3rd. Very, very scary.
Yeah, it is really nice to see, again, the pillar usage coming out of Jose, I think, has been really good with TL trying to chain all of this CC. And Yeon, again, we've talked about how strong he can be on this Yunara, was put down early by disguised bot lane, but it's really coming back, and now every time DSG try to make, especially Sajed, some sort of aggressive move, TL has been on it.
I just love the emphasis on move speed here for Jose. He went 3 points Q into 5 points W, so additional move speed. Then he has a dead man's. He's just so fast.
Okay, Castle trying to frontline here as Morgan flies into the backline, but he's going to take a ton of damage from DSG. Both top laners get chunked down very, very low here. The Sion, obviously the tankier one, as Morgan trying to wrap around, see if he can get some pressure onto Disguise. Remember, this is sole point if DSG can secure the Drake. Slam not going to do a whole lot. A nice follow-up seismic shove coming out from QUID, forces Castle to flash away. Dragon down to about 40% HP. DSG still looking to take the objective as Kryra has to force Morgan back away. Team Liquid carries under a little bit of pressure. Castle about to die. Josedeodo going to grab the kill on that one as Lyonz is burning so very low, but he's not quite dead here yet. Castle still trying to make a little bit more space, but Team Liquid will take the fight. They will take the Drake, and they will stop DSG's stacking.
And all throughout that team fight, you could see, even with a few TL players getting a little low, they were able to blow so many flashes off of DSG. DSG, as soon as it seemed like one member saw an angle. They ended up having to back off because all of the damage coming out of TL.
And it kind of all came down to Castle getting caught on that top side. He tried to go in, gets pillared, gets seismic shoved in. He's incredibly low. And then you look on the other side of the map, and it's a completely different story. Morgan is threatening here. The battle lines completely break for DSG. Lyonz is kind of caught awkwardly, just trying to run away in the middle of the fight. Sajed is by himself while Crowder was trying to duel Morgan. Everyone kind of seemed like they had a bit of a different idea, whereas TL, they had this early trade of health, and you think, okay, well, surely Morgan's going to be less useful, but he threatens on the flank after pushing out the bot wave. The other core four of TL stayed together, where DSG got kind of disjointed and a little bit split up, and that cost them that third dragon.
Yeah, and going into this, the question was going to be for TL, like, how well coordinated are they thus far? If we've seen some really, really nice, like, little marks of play from them that I think make them look a little bit more unified going in than some of their previous outings.
Liquid is lurking, and Callme is finding himself in a very compromised position. Weaver's Wall gonna chase after him. Seismic shove knocks him out of the Realm Warp, and there is no way home for the Ryze now. Yeon on a killing spree. Team Liquid picks the enemy mid laner. He'll be dead for the next 45 seconds, but what's the follow-up move from there? Yeon goes forward, still has the ulti with the Arc of Ruin to try to force DSG away from the tier 1 turret. Now Castle's gonna be the target. That Sion is not as tanky as they'd want him to be. Morgan just cuts him down. Josedeodo makes it so easy with the subjugate.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go straight to Baron, but instead they just make a collapse on mid lane, and they do look for a hard engage. And we saw Morgan fully committing to that. He even looked for a flash ult on the Nami, which did get flashed, so that was kind of wasted. But again, Castle goes down. Now they will return and at least threaten the Baron, but of course we know it is going to be a bait.
Ooh, if that seismic shove would have hit Kryra, that could have been the play, or maybe they'll get it anyway. Kryra down to 20% HP, tries to use the Cyclone to get away from it, but CoreJJ with a beautiful Pop Blossom stops any chance of DSG recovering there. Now with the jungler dead for the next 40 seconds, Team Liquid seriously looking at that Baron pit.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, again, the chain CC coming out of this TL comp. They're going to knock down at least the scuttle there, get full vision over the entire top side of the map here.
And I really love the interaction that they actually used to catch Kryra. So this is one of these things that you don't always think about. So the seismic shove missed, but what Jose did is he placed his pillar directly onto the Wukong to bump him into the unraveled earth. So he gets stunned by the Taliyah E, even though the seismic shove missed. Just use that little boop, knocks him into the rocks, he gets stunned up. They chase him down, they knock him down. So that is very well played by TL. Utilizing that Trundle and getting a big advantage.
And now the map is completely dark for Disguised on this top side, so we see TL kind of cleaning up camps, potentially looking for more picks, pushing out this top wave.
Ooh, good sidestep.
Yep, that was really, really close there for Kryra, as Morgan now could find himself in a bit of a tough spot. Sajed with the damage over the wall. Valks forward, chasing after the Team Liquid top laner, but they don't go any further. They're afraid of the Team Liquid counterattack.
Well, and Castle was afraid of that wall because he ulted straight into it. So who put that wall there? Who decided it was going to be Mountain Rift? That's some crazy TL bias from the game designer.
From the terrain itself.
From the terrain.
The terrain is rooting for Team Liquid. There also could have potentially, if TL wanted to go for it, been a really dangerous wraparound there too. But no, they're kind of content to keep baiting out with Fog of War on this top side.
And this just feels like classic TL with a lead. Make the map very dark for your opponents. Lurk around in the jungle. Try to find a couple of picks to then continue making your big plays after that. Castle's going to be the one who has to face check things here, but man, this map is so scary. Fog of War everywhere. Lyonz is just going to drop. Yeon gets the last auto. That's a free kill for the Yunara. As now CoreJJ hits a 3-man Pop Blossom. Kryra tries to save himself, but Morgan takes him out. Castle's in the middle of everybody as Morgan can fall back before he ends up having to give his own life. Now Castle gets knocked down. Enemy jungler, enemy support, enemy top laner, all out of the picture, and Team Liquid's heading to Baron.
Just like you said, the way they play with Fog of War, I love whenever you see Core waiting in the bush because you know he sees the play. He's looking for the angle. Really, really nice stuff coming out of his Neeko once again.
Yeah, finds a great engage. I mean, it's Castle walking forward, but he's just not really that threatening. He's not really that tanky. No one is there with him, so he steps up, and Jose just starts slapping him. And again, Lyonz is kind of on the wrong spot. He was separated from the team. The team seems to be a bit disjointed on how they want to approach these fights. So he just gets chased down by Yeon for free. Core finds this big Pop Blossom, and that feels like now the wheels have fully fallen off at this point.
Yeah, as we see them looking for Castle here. And the big thing that I want to call out again is just Core waiting here. You know he wants that engage to go in immediately.
He R-autoed, so he pop blossoms in the air. So it actually was perfectly timed. I thought that's what he might have done, but I didn't know that even though like the animation goes off early, it actually stuns where you land, it looked like. So that was super well timed by Core. Well played.
Deep breaths, guys. Use your eyes.
Deep breaths. Got to stay calm. Got to get all the way to the Nexus. Like you were talking about, Azael, CoreJJ earlier mentioning, yeah, it's not the start to the season that we wanted, but our goal is still achievable. We've just got to get there. Even this game started off a little bit rough. Disguised had a 1,500 gold lead after the early game, right? You had big advantages for QUID and Sajed, but then Team Liquid were able to maintain their composure. They found windows where they could punish their opponent's mistakes, and then as soon as they got those punishes, they've been snowballing it ever since.
Yeah, they've had complete Drake control ever since as well, which has been really huge for them. And now Yeon is up 2K over his lead, and I think they're playing around his aggression so well with the insane amount of CC as QUID goes in.
Yeah, they're going in for the Weavers wall, and immediately Lyonz is caught. Yeon finds the Arc of Ruin there onto QUID. They want to get a second kill here if they can, but QUID gets away for now. Callme going to reinforce him. Meanwhile, back in the mid lane, Yeon looking at Sajed. QUID wants to go in after the Team Liquid AD carry, but CoreJJ is there on the defense. Yeon staying alive for now. Castle doesn't have the damage. Callme trying to get something, as at least QUID will fall. Yeon right next to him, but Callme loses his life in the process. Morgan gets the killing spree there onto Sajed, and it's only Castle still standing on DSG. Beautiful use of the public execution to buffer through the decimating smash. Morgan guarantees the ace, and Team Liquid's looking for the end of the game.
Ambessa does not care about the towers at all, as Core is even going to be able to survive. Objective bounties are available soon. That's the cope. We're going for some bounties here.
You might need them.
Just get some of these shutdowns, pick up some towers, easy kill on Morgan for 1K, you know?
Well, the game's not over at least. It's still going. DSG's still in there, but man, 10,000 gold difference. Team Liquid still with the Baron for another 10 seconds. The power play up to almost 3,500. This is looking grim.
And I always just feel like when you have the luxury items coming through, like Zhonya's, Seekers, GA, each one of those is one nail in the coffin, right? Yep. And that gets so difficult because when you're behind, you're always hoping for a catch out. You're always hoping for a one shot that can maybe that can maybe even out the game. But when everyone has their tools available to keep themselves alive, it gets so hard. Yeon is really your only reasonable target, but trying to fight through a Trundle, through the Pop Blossom, through the Ambessa, to be able to get in on him is just almost impossible. And
they were already having issues with that going in, like the fight that led to the base break was exactly that, right? Like QUID goes in on the Wukong, tries to get a pick onto someone, and then is immediately CC'd by the Neeko. So they were already having issues with that, and now everyone has a lot more survivability.
Liquid in the enemy blue side jungle, looking to push through bottom lane now. Remember, the mid lane inhibitor is already destroyed, so TL is going to try to find opportunities to pressure here in the side lanes. You can see the wave pushing out top, but nobody's on split push duty just yet. QUID is deep behind enemy lines. We're going for the long con here. DSG knows they have to get a pretty insane engage to have any sort of a chance at all in a competitive fight, and QUID is the one looking to set up for that.
Yeah, I mean, the real problem is even if he finds like a 5-man Cyclone, the damage dealers have to be there too. He's only got 2 items. He's not going to be able to do it at this point.
Okay, QUID pops his Ghost. Not going to find a whole lot of efficacy for that here just yet. Josedeodo getting juggled around a little bit. Couple of knockups there as the Subjugate is used. Jose wants to make sure he doesn't just get randomly picked off here. So Trundle ulti off the table for a little while, but TL's not in any real danger. They continue to move around as a 5-man unit. Nobody's going to be a straggler. Nobody's going to be left on their own, and they'll just get out of the danger zone.
Yeah, I mean, it does stop a little bit of the pressure they were applying as, nope, they're going in for another play.
Yep, there it is. Pop Blossom seals Callme's fate. QUID's going to be the one taking the kill on that as TL, after picking off the Ryze, look for a little bit more. Morgan does not land the public execution that time, but it's a 5v4. Castle's in the bottom lane trying to clear out the minions, but that top wave that I mentioned earlier is just about pushed up exactly where Team Liquid wants it. They can try to force their way through the top lane tier 3 turret next.
Morgan is mid. He's pushing that wave up. The supers are going to be on the Nexus towers here pretty quickly, so DSG has to respond to that, and that is going to mean that the top lane turret is going to be completely exposed. TL, though, decide, you know what, we don't need to push any further. Dragon is in 25. Yep. Let's reset. Let's just continue stacking towards Soul. They clearly, based on those comms from Yeon, don't want to take any risks. I think this is something that they realize, hey, we've thrown from these kind of situations. Let's stay composed. Let's take the 100% win rate strategy. Let's just make it safe.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a Team Liquid squad, a team that throughout their history, this has never been a team that's like, yeah, okay, let's just try our best, guys, right? Like, TL has always been an org that is very locked in. They want to win trophies. They want to be competitive. They want to go international. And now that you're on your last life, now that you've barely qualified to the bracket stage, having to play in that tiebreaker match against Dig, that it looked like that one was even dicey for a little while. They're really trying to minimize those mistakes as the third Drake for them is about to fall. Should just be able to pick that one up easy peasy. Now Baron's alive here too, and DSG are trying to position in a way that they might be able to contest it.
Yeah, and we'll see. It's not looking great as that pillar lands onto Castle. And we have the TP coming in from Morgan. He might be looking for a wraparound flank here. Sajed.
Ryze on Sajed, the Corki. If they manage to get the pincer attack on the AD carry, it's over before it even begins. Kryra takes a little bit of poke there from CoreJJ as Sajed is about to die. One more auto attack would have finished him off as Sion has to flash back away now, and Morgan has found that pincer attack. The Corki and the Wukong are both already out of the picture. CoreJJ staying alive there with the Seeker's arm guard as Callme just barely has enough damage to finish him off. Meanwhile, Yeon gets the kill on Castle and now has to get away from the dead Sion. The Arc of Judgment is enough to slow down the dead body, so the only one they lose is CoreJJ, and it's an ace for TL.
I love how Yeon was the one telling them to chill out in comms. We saw from FBI's comms what happens when the ADC is baiting out stuff. Their really beautiful coordination with the Morgan flank coming around on the Ambessa.
And that's going to be all it takes. Team Liquid, it was a bit of a rocky start, but then they turned it around in the mid-game. They played it safe. They didn't take excessive risks. They make their way to the Nexus, and they're going to go up 1-0.
The inhib respawn.
Yeah, I think the inhib
respawn. It's not over.
Yeah, I think that it still should be over. Okay, there we go. Now they're going to go up 1-0 here in the series.
I was like, wait a second, we just tapped out. I saw that Nexus, the health bar disappeared. I've been in that game before. But they do get the win at the end of the day. Great performance here from TL to kick things off, 23-8. They started down a little bit, but they were very composed. They punished DSG in that third Dragon fight in particular, really navigated that well. And it was a swing of nearly 3,000 gold within, what, a minute and a half? And it felt like after that, it was TL's.
All right, Lounge, let us know what you're thinking.
Is TL back, Kobe?
TL's back, baby!
Good TL!
Scrimbucks! The Scrimbucks are good! Glad you got your Scrimbucks early, chat.
I did. I've been investing in Scrimbucks since the start of the split.
I lost mine.
You didn't sell them, right? No
Correct.
paper hands here?
Nope.
So for our